those screens?
Sure.
Like it to.
Everybody in the audience can see it.
Where'd our IT go? 'Cause I don't know how.
Steve, would you be able to, there's a laptop right there that's
Put it on
filming.
your
Need to log into Zoom on that one.
Mr. Francis, in the back, are we able to access this or use this laptop that's here forward to be able to allow the screen or so we can share this up here?
I know it's illegal.
You know, Lorene, we're in the middle of our budget. Maybe we should send a few dollars over here to see if these guys
Could you?
can update some of this technology.
Hey, we'd appreciate that.
No, our clerk auditor says no.
We'll take all you've got. How's that?
It's probably not
I need to
anything.
get this on here. But I'm guessing if I can just go to the agenda, because it's included as a link on the agenda.
Sure it is.
Maybe I'd love to ask while you're working that out. On Zoom, I believe we have our civil attorney, Mike Kendall. Mike, are you with us on the Zoom?
Yes, I'm here.
There we go.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Mike. So we have, just like you,
Is that your county attorney?
that is one of our county attorneys, yes, on the civil side. We have our clerk auditor, Curtis Koch here, and our surveyor, Max Elliott here, and our property manager, Tony Thompson here. So thanks to all the Davis County people in the room.
There's also, I notice, Commissioner, Mayor Joe Schoblum
Oh, good.
from South Weber is on Zoom.
Great.
And we have Mayor Gordon Cutler seated in the audience today.
From Uinta.
Mayor Cutler's here.
Yeah, thanks to both of you mayors for being on with us.
Those of you from the council, respective councils, I'm sorry I don't know who you are or your names, and so you please forgive me if I'm not familiar with who you are.
Sorry. So before I pull that up, just a little background on this. This stems from, like I said, there's some surveys that were done. There was one done back in 2002. There are some potential issues with that. And it's just going back to try to retrace, thank you, retrace that, that original line between the counties, which did follow the river. And that's where a lot of the issues stem from, is that river changes course. Sorry, standing too close. Changes course, and so we just need to ensure that these properties are I guess, at a common line. So we're just having some issues getting it on these screens. They're working on that. So if you'll bear with me, I apologize. Can I just join? Should I just sign in online?
Just would it let you join back there?
Yeah. I gotta put the meeting ID in.
You want that, Shelley?
Yeah, do you have it right there? I've got it.
You got it.
Double 06232.
232, Shelley.
So now you want the map?
You can just-
Make, yeah.
Okay, now it looks like we're, get rid of that.
Upper right-hand corner of the X. And if you'll just mute that.
I did mute it. I don't know what I did. It is muted, but I'm not sure what I did here, so.
It's gotta be this.
Is it because that's got a...
Mm-mm. For what?
On this? I got it.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, let's do
I
it.
think we're there. There's a reason I'm not working in IT. That's evidence there. So, all right. So, can everyone see that? Yes. All right. So, parcel A is what we're talking about. The two parcels there. If you're looking at the number 28, is just above that. It's got the two arrows there. It's Weber County parcels 07-109-0025 and 07-109-0017. As you can see, they're right next to each other. So both of those currently lie south of the Weber River, which, going back to that original description of the county boundaries, would put that in Davis County. And then if you're going over to the number 26 on this, and then you see parcel 1301000016, that one there would be moving into into Weber County. So that currently lies in Davis County. So part of the issue there is it is north of 84. I believe there's not much ability to access, or there's actually no access directly from Davis County. They'd have to loop around. So I think part of that stems from providing services, but I'm not sure. Maybe Mr. Kendall would be able to provide better information on that one.
Mike, is there anything you want to add? Yeah, he's possibly on there. Sometimes it's tricky to get unmuted.
Mike Kendall?
So you were wondering if he wanted to say anything more about the...
Yeah.
Have any questions?
Do you have any... Were you able to hear okay, Mr. Wilson, and any comment on that?
He's on mute. Here we go.
No, I think that Matt explained it well.
Thank you.
And we have been working with their office and been really great to work with, so I've appreciated that.
Yeah.
So Matt, tell us the exact size of both of these parcels that are being discussed.
I'll defer.
You gonna go ahead and ask me to come up?
Yep. Good question, Chair.
So the approximate acreage of the property that's being changed as far as where it's being taxed. The parcel that is, let's see. You got it extra small on me here. Okay, so there's a property that's 3.8 approximately acres that's going to be
So that's the one moving into Weber.
become part of Weber County. And then the portion that's going to become part of Davis County is approximately 3.3 acres. And on this western portion, the portion that is going to Davis County, that's the remainder of some property that lies on the Weber County side of the 2002 boundary survey that Matt referenced earlier. But yeah, so there's a 3.3 acre piece that's going to Davis County and a 3.8 acre piece that's going to Weber County.
Got it. Okay, thank you. Matt, what else?
So here you're operating under statute. If you do vote to move the boundary line, there would be a few steps after a vote is taken, if a vote's taken today, but there would be a few steps, including providing confirmation of this to the Lieutenant Governor's office, which I'll continue to work with Mr. Kendall on making sure that we satisfy all those steps to ensure that this change, if voted on, does go into effect. So,
Great. Okay, with that, does that conclude your presentation, Matt?
it does, Chair.
Let's go to Commissioner comments or questions. Commissioner Harvey?
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. It might be appropriate to define, because we've got people listening, maybe just briefly describe the difference that's in statute as it relates to a minor boundary change versus a major boundary change, and why we're choosing to do a minor boundary change instead of a major boundary change at this time.
So a minor boundary adjustment is pursuant to state code at 17-2-209. Actually going back, it starts in the Utah Constitution, and there's two ways to change the boundary, and then one to define the boundary. The one to define the boundary relies upon the surveyors from each county to get together and try and retrace the old boundary lines, which is difficult in this area because of the river. And then a minor boundary adjustment is what we're attempting here, and that is basically bringing the current property lines in congruence with the current, or with county lines. And so just making sure that your county lines and your boundary line, your county lines, property boundary lines, that those match, basically. There's also another way, a major change, as you suggested, which is it would require an election of both counties. And that requires a number of steps. It requires a petition to be presented prior to, I can't remember if it's June 2nd or June 7th of a general election year. And then it would go on the ballot, and both counties, the majority of both counties, would have to vote in the affirmative to change that county boundary. Is that?
Thank you.
Additional questions or comments for Mr. Wilson? Commissioners, questions or comments?
No, that was a great request by Commissioner Harvey, that we make sure everybody knows what the applicable law is. And I don't have any additional questions.
Bob?
Just
Commissioner Stevenson?
comment I'd make is that being that I've worked both cities and counties, this is one of the things where cities and counties have come together to be able to make this happen. The two cities that are involved, UNN and South Weaver, are both in agreement on this, which makes this a whole lot easier as far as that goes. Appreciate everybody's effort.
Thank you for that. Anything else? Great, thank you. Does that conclude your presentation,
It does, thank you.
Mr. Wilson? All right, let's go to public comments. Anybody from the public that would like to come forward now from the chamber? And if you'd please limit your remarks to 3 minutes, we'd appreciate that. Mayor, I see you coming this way. And Shelley, if you'll advise us if we have any Zoom comments. Mayor, welcome.
Thank you. I'd like to just kind of expound upon Commissioner Stevenson's remarks there. Mayor Joe from South Weaver and I from UNA, we formed a committee from each city. That committee's got together and they came up with the recommendations that we're presenting to you today. So there's been input from both cities. We're pretty much in agreement about what goes on there. I do want to bring up just one thing for make sure. My feeling is that you folks are over the county line, but the city lines will stay the same. And we have precedent that the city can be in 2 different counties. Every time I bring this up, the big example is Draper, that is supposedly in Salt Lake and in Utah County. So this is kind of a 2-part process, the way that I see it, in that we did change the county line, and then the property owners will request to either annex or de-annex from the particular city and then seek annexation into the city where they want to go to. I don't think that's insurmountable. I think that's doable. The other thing that I would ask that you don't forget, that we're doing this as a minor boundary change, that from the 2 parcels, one that's on the east end of UNA and one that's on the west end of UNA, there's a lot of property in there that we need to clean up that county line too. And that would be, I guess, a major one, but we need to work on getting that done as quick as possible, just so that we're not doing this again. Maybe it'll be some type of a minor, I don't know. That'd be for Mr. Wilson to tell us, but we're in agreement to it. I do think that there are a couple of steps that we need to do to make sure everything gets done the way that we want it done, but it's not insurmountable. So I'll just say thank you for your service and thank you for working on this problem for the two little cities there.
Mayor, before you go, can
Yes,
you
sir.
give us an idea of how many possible properties or residents may look to annex or de-annex, whatever the case may be? Do you have is it
The
a
total
lot?
length of the city there,
Yeah,
Commissioner?
Residents, you didn't ask for residents?
yeah, the residential homes that would possibly annex.
No homes, is there?
No homes.
So no homes in it, right?
There's no homes there that would annex in because everything behind those people is the river and then up to the,
So the
freeway
de-annexation or
right-of-way.
annexation would take place with raw ground and then they'd possibly build in the
Right.
future.
Right. Like in Uena, I always thought, I say 4 acres, apparently it's under 4 acres. They want to take that and put it into South Weber for them to do their RV park. Okay? So there's, like I say, they'd have to come to Uena, request de-annexation and get annexed into South Weber. No homes are involved with that at all. There is some property that is on the north side of the river that is now in Davis County that butts up against some of the property owners that live along the river down there, but that's probably 10.
That's future, though. That's not
Yes.
being considered today.
No, that's not part of
Right.
this. I'm just saying that's going to have to be addressed in the future too. Thank you, Jim.
So you're in favor of a major boundary adjustment at some point?
Some point it's going to have to happen just to clean this all up.
Right. And we have had those discussions. So, any questions for the mayor?
No, just one question. One of the things that we're seeing one of the things that we're seeing as far as this is two cities and two counties have come together to resolve this. It's one of these things that I think is, whether we're talking David Weaver, Cash Rich, or whatever, is if people were a whole. And sometimes we're afraid of that. And so with you and Mayor Joe, really, again, I'll say this again with emphasis, hey, thank you for, making this work. It's important. These types of working relationships exist because of what it does as far as the future goes for all of us. So thank you again.
Let me just pat South Weaver and you on the back here again, because we're getting ready to we've entered into agreement, we're going to start construction on a water line down Cottonwood Drive that South Weaver, Uena teamed up to do, and so it's reducing costs for both cities. By us teaming up together, Weaver Basin decided that they'd throw some more money into the pot because they haven't seen this type of cooperation before.
That's great.
It all works together for everybody.
How large was the group of the Citizens Committee that you had? Was it
There was 4, 5
from
from each city.
each city? Citizens, not planning commissioners? Or?
There was some that was on planning commission, there's some citizens, there was a city council member from UNO on there. I don't really know the position of everybody from South Weaver, so.
Uh-huh. So 10-ish people with equal representation. Yeah, that's great.
Great. Thank you, Mayor. Any additional questions for the mayor? Appreciate you being here.
Yes, thanks for being here. I don't know if Mayor Schoblem would have anything to
Is
add.
she on the line?
I
Mayor
believe-
Schoblem's on Zoom, Commissioner.
Does she have any comments, Shelley?
They're working on they're working on that.
Mr. Chair, just so you know, in Davis County, they don't turn my mic on over there.
I was-
This is nothing new. I don't know.
Lorraine's told me that before, so. Okay, we'll have Bob come over and use another mic. All right, any additional public comments from the chamber, please come up. And we'd love to hear from you.
Well, Max Elliott, our surveyor with lots and lots of years of experience, if you wouldn't mind saying something about the course of this river and how it's changed over time. There's evulsion and then something or other. I don't know if that's interesting for folks, but it sure was interesting for me. Max has some good experience in surveying. Been in office a long time. Thanks for being here, Max. Which happened longer ago, right? Before there was the flood control, perhaps, and all of that. Yeah. This was so interesting when you explained this to us. Thank you, Max.
Thank you for that information. Did we have a comment from Mayor Joe, now that we're live streaming?
Stacy sent me that text. So,
Not seeing any.
Joe Schoblem on Zoom.
Can you hear me?
Good, yes,
Sure, go
we
ahead.
can.
Okay. Honestly, I have only heard about 50% of the conversation, and I haven't heard Bob at all, which has been great. I don't mind that. I appreciate you muting him for me.
Yeah, we rigged his
Just
mic
kidding.
beforehand.
Just kidding, Bob. From what I heard of what Mayor Cutler said, we are in agreement, and like he said, we formed a committee and got together, our two cities, and worked out the boundary. We had a boundary discussion, and we were in complete agreement with those boundary changes. Naturally, the RV park, clearing up that boundary and his property is our desire so that he can move forward with his project, and they have the same issue on the east side with their business park, and so we were in agreement that now we still have to take this to our cities. Our cities have not determined for sure. We haven't discussed it with them, the boundary change, city boundary change, but ultimately that is what we would like to see happen. So.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate your comments, Mayor.
No problem. Thank you for having this meeting.
Yeah, glad to have you on the Zoom with us. Anybody else on Zoom or in the chamber before we move ahead? Okay, seeing none, I would look for a motion to adjourn our public hearing and reconvene as a public meeting.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Second.
And we have a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Chair votes aye. We're now in a public meeting. So the public meeting will now take place to request or take action on adoption of a resolution approving minor adjustments to the Davis and Weber County common boundary as presented, which we now have seen. So comments, questions, or action is in order at this time.
With the fact that there's been no or very few public comment and everything has been in approval, I'd make a motion at this time that the Davis and Weber commissions approve the resolution as has been presented to us, changing the property lines for the two counties.
36.
Thank you for that motion. That would be actually Resolution 36. Do we have a second?
Second.
And we have a second, Commissioner Harvey. We'll go for a roll call vote.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. I'm going to rule that the motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Resolution 36 has been approved. Commissioner comments? Any final comments? Bob, now's your chance. You do have a mic that you can...
I have none. Appreciate it. It's been good working with the cities and the counties.
Thank you.
Just like others have said, the cooperation between cities and involving citizens, and now you'll involve your citizens even more and bring them up to speed, and I wish both of you cities well. We're so grateful when we see this sort of collaboration. The best service comes from tremendous collaboration. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners from Davis County. Sorry for the slow start there, but we finally got our act together, so Appreciate your patience. Commissioner Harvey, last words.
Just this effort, Weber and Davis County working together. I appreciate the gentleman who was a surveyor for years at Davis County and his input on that. But it's great to be able to have the cities working together and then working with the counties working together. It's similar to what we did with economic development. It's good for the people when we all work together. And we haven't all necessarily agreed a whole way along the way, but we have worked together and we have agreed to get along, and this is a good thing. So appreciate that.
Thank you. And let me just make final remarks that, the mayor mentioned that we should look at the heavy lift of adjusting that boundary all the way along. I think that we have had discussions of that in the past, and I think it's our feeling that that's something that needs to be done. It's not as quick as we saw this afternoon, but I think it's knowing that the river configuration, it's time to establish a hard boundary there that will carry on to the future. So that, I think, is at least our intent from the Weber side, and from previous meetings, I believe Davis would also be interested in pursuing that at some time. So
I know our attorney, who's been working on this a lot, Mike Kendall, has said it is indeed a heavy lift and lots to figure out and look at, but we certainly want to continue the discussions.
thank you. Appreciate that. With that, I take a final motion.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. We're adjourned. Thank you very much. Thanks for members of the public and those that participated on Zoom.